Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A'udhu billahi minasyaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir bi tamamil khair. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نويت تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله وحظه وقربه وثوابه وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Alhamdulillah, I'm back here again. Now better prepared, because the last time I came here it was last minute request. Today, this time I had a good chance to talk to organizers, had hearty breakfast with them, and the direction of our lecture today. Very good evening to all of you here. I see some lecturers. I think you're lecturers. You better be lecturers, because then I see that there's some students here. I think students from other universities beyond here. Thanks for making it here, because this is a painful place to travel to. I was here for a year. I was here for a year to do my diploma, and this is a dreaded place. Because coming from NUS, and then after that coming here, then it's a different culture altogether. And then coming here, and then occasionally this environment is surrounded by gunshots. So you don't know whether you're in a battlefield or you're seeking knowledge, even though both is struggle in seeking knowledge as well. Okay, today we're looking at this topic, the perfect role model. I think if you are aware and you've been looking around, this is a topic that's often repeated. And it's bad in a way, because after a while things that are repeated becomes cliche. And I think what cliche is that it means that you don't take it seriously. So it's sad because it is pertinent, but the society starts to think that it's a cliche. Now, if you look at the perfect role model, lesson from our Prophet, and why are we still on this? Because there are different members of society. Remember, when we address people in society, they are not homogeneous. Different levels of intellectual capacities and henceforth. To serve as a reminder, for those people, for people in general, we need reminders. And we are reminded, therefore, that the best example is Rasulullah s.a.w. And for people who are already active for people who are on the ground, people who are in the midst of society, the fact that we keep having to repeat this topic about the Prophet, to reiterate, it means that there are some issues that are still unresolved. There's still this failure to make the linkage between the problems and Rasulullah s.a.w. as a solution to these problems. So there's this failure to make a linkage, and it's been going on and on. It also signals the fact that maybe we are losing focus, or we are focusing on the wrong things. So things remain unresolved. And thirdly, for those people who are active, and they've been consistently trying to effectively resolve problems in society, there are new and contemporary challenges that arise. And then, again, the formula is put to test. Allah says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. That He's the best of examples. And then does this apply to all? Then you have to take the challenge and then see if there is anything from the compendium, from the collection of Rasulullah s.a.w.'s words, actions, his example, that can provide even an inkling of the way forward to these problems that we face. So this is the true reasons why we are still on here. Alright? Now, I assume that the title that's given, which is the perfect role model, comes from an inspiration from this verse, all right, and also what comes after that. Okay. Okay. Allah mentions in the Quran, "Inna hadha al-Quran yahdi lillati hiya aqwam." Verily, this Quran guides to that which is most just and right, and gives glad tidings to the believers who work deeds of righteousness, that they shall have a great reward, paradise. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith, I leave you two things, as long as you follow this, you'll never go astray. Allah's book and the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. What is the correlation? One is talking about guidance, and the other one is talking about a hadith. Scholars have agreed that if you derive from Sayyidina Aisha's hadith, she says that kana khuluqul Quran, that the akhlaq of Prophet ﷺ, his being, his actions. In our terminology, we learn akhlaq, and akhlaq is in plural form, which means that it encompasses a lot of things. When you say akhlaq, it's not just talking about, people said we need to learn akhlaq because we live exist in a community, which is true, but partially true. Because the purpose of akhlaq is not just to have a relationship with society. Because the Prophet ﷺ has showed that the idea of akhlaq transpasses, it goes beyond people to people. It also is about your adab with your creator. It is also about your adab with other forms of beings, right? Animals, plants, and henceforth. And it's also about adab with yourself. Adab with yourself. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّضْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. Whomsoever turns away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, نُقَيِّضْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا, we will create unto them shaitan, فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ, and this shaitan will influence their train of thoughts. So even when you're alone and you are surrounded by your idle thoughts, what you choose to think about requires akhlaq. I'm here and I'm looking at the Muslimah at the back row, but I have to think about my wife. That's akhlaq. Example. Alright? So this is an example. So this is the original idea was to have the Muslimah at the front row, because I always feel that the Muslimah, they are more focused on their learning. They're all not taking down notes. The men here all memorize the content of what I'm going to say. In fact, they know what's going to come before that. They say, oh, inshallah, this is repeated. This is cliche. He's right, it's cliche. And Muslimah, no matter if you repeat it 100 times, they write it 100 times. MashaAllah. This is what Prophet ﷺ gives honor to Sayyidina Aisha. Take from Aisha this religion. Means take knowledge from Aisha. Okay? So, this is that. And then the next thing is that there has certainly been for you in the message of Allah an excellent pattern for anyone whose hope is in Allah. When we talk about excellent pattern, it encompasses all things. And we're going to look later about how we have misunderstood how we understand the Prophet, because we don't even know what to emulate. So some people emulate them very superficially, in the sense that I only follow the physical manifestations, which is good, which is sunnah. But then that is not what the Prophet solely represents. And the Prophet ﷺ says, "Man ahya sunnati faqad ahabbani, wa man ahabbani kana ma'i fil jannah." Man ahya sunnati, whomsoever delivers my sunnah, he follows my sunnah, emulates my sunnah, faqad ahabbani. He has indeed loved me. Wa man ahabbani kana ma'i fil jannah. Whomsoever loves me, he's with me in paradise. That does not restrict it to just physical manifestations. It also shows what is being, what is inside you, the intrinsic realities of yourself. So, the reason sometimes why we say that we follow the Prophet, why are our problems still unresolved? Why are we still looking at this topic? We have followed him. We need to ask our question, what is the basis for emulation? You must know why you emulate. You must know why you are created in the first place. You can't just decide and pick what you need based on your own whims and fancies. Religion provides what you need, not necessarily what you want. So many times in life we mistake this. So we decide to learn this because we want to know about this. But what you want need not necessarily be what you need for yourself. It's what you need which is more pertinent than what you want. I like to go about this Ustaz stuff. This is funny guy. He cracks a lot of jokes, it's not boring, it's interactive. That's what you want. And you ever this Ustaz is boring. He just goes on and on, he rambles, he talks, and sometimes I think I don't know whether he's alive halfway to his talk, and then after that he starts going on again, the same thing. It's just boring. But it's with boring people that you actually learn a lot of things. It's this boring knowledge that actually is what you need, more than the fun and laughter. Because the fun and laughter fills your heart temporarily, but the boredom might provide you an insight into things which are beyond what you have right now that you can't comprehend. There was mention of my teacher just now. I must admit, my teacher, he doesn't share jokes. So I'm a bad example of my teacher. Right? I'm a bad example of my teacher's student. Because people look at me and say, you can't be learning from him because he's a serious person. I can count on my fingers how many times he made jokes. For as long as I was with him, he doesn't make jokes as much. Okay, she does make jokes, but you don't know when serious people make jokes, you know whether they're joking or they're serious, or they're trying to catch you off guard or something. So you're very careful about your laugh, you just smile, Alright, but that was my teacher. He was serious most of the time about everything. He's very particular about everything. So some of my students who attend my classes, they think that my teacher is like that. My teacher is not like that. The first time he was finally called to give a public lecture in a mosque. It was full house because people know his name. People don't know how he talks or how he speaks. So they say, this is Almarhum K. Qasim. It wasn't Almarhum then. This is K. Qasim. So we're going to come and listen to his talk. We're going to listen to his lecture because he was doing he was teaching hadith at that point of time. So it was full house for the first lesson. And after that, people just didn't turn up. Because the way he used rote learning for his teaching, he just repeated points. I repeat myself again. I repeat myself again. I repeat myself again. And people just get, I can't relate to this guy. And just get. After that, his classes started to lose the enrollment. After that, that's that. I mean, as a student officer, I felt sad about it, but I could understand. Because people cannot comprehend what they want and what they need. And I don't blame people for that. Because no one tells them what they want in the first place. People don't tell them what they need in the first place. So there's obscure now. Because your want and your needs become the same thing, which is not necessarily true. Okay? Am I going too fast? I'm asking the ladies, the guys. Am I going too fast? I'm going fine, yeah? Okay. And there's room for feedback. I think one of the things that there's room for feedback. I think there's feedback section, right? If there's feedback, please give your honest feedback. Don't talk about dress sense and everything else, or like shoes or whatever. But just about the content and its presentation, because I need honest feedback to move forward. And don't think, he's good. In what way? He's bad. Alright, he's wretched. Okay, in what way? Let's be honest. Okay? I should be able to take this the criticism. Okay? Now, basis for emulation is equals to your purpose of creation. If you want to know what to emulate for the Prophet ﷺ, you must know why you are here in the first place. So, we are created for two purposes. Imam Rajab al-Isfahani, he says that we are first created for worship. And we all know that. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. This is repeated so many times by so many people across the world, that we are created for worship. One. But the mistake that we make is that we think that that is our only reason for creation. We just worship. And all is fine, all is good. If everyone worships, it will be fine. The second point is for service. It is for service. It's for khidmah. Allah mentioned in the Quran, Surah Hud, وَأَنْشَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْأَرْضِ وَاسْتَعْمَرَكُمْ فِيهَا. That He has produced you from the earth and set you in it to cultivate, to prosper it. In another verse in Al-Baqarah, Allah says in the Quran, إِنِّي جَعِنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. If you're going to be a vicegerent, if you're going to oversee that this world is well run, you cannot be just someone who's just worshipping for the sake of worshipping, that the means and ends become the same thing. There is more to that, that this worshipping is supposed to empower a greater cause. Which is why in the hadith, the Prophet said, فَإِذَا صَلَحَتْ, we're talking about prayers. فَإِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ سَائِرَ الْعَمَلِ. If your prayer is good, then your other deeds will be good as well. There is a correlation. So people do not worship in a vacuum. So the reality of society today is that we have a problematic dichotomy. There are those people who worship and then that's all they do. And the other worship is that I pray and that's it. Society is meant to decay. This society is going to the dogs. Dajjal is coming. Alright, in Israel, the one child baby is born. He is coming soon. Alright, the Dajjal is blind in one eye, he doesn't have one eye. Alright, so just to get those of you who are spreading this unnecessarily, especially in the middle of the night. When I get pictures in the middle of the night, I know that people are standing from their bed. They have nothing to do and they're schooling, forward this to Ustaz word like this. Dajjal is coming, should be alarmed. Alright, and he should be serious because this is what he needs. Okay, but so people are worshipping for the sake of worshipping. Okay, and the second group of people, so they don't see the greater need, a greater cause. For these people, the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith, Al-Mu'min الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم أعظم أجرا من المؤمن الذي لا يخالط الناس ولا يصبر على أذاهم. A believer, a true believer, a great believer. Alright? الذي يخالط الناس. he who deals with society, he who mingles with society, وَيَصْبِرُ عَلَىٰ أَذَاهُمْ, and he is forbearing, he is patient upon the challenges that society brings onto him. أَعْظَمَ أَجْرًا, he receives greater reward, which means that he is of a greater stature than a believer who doesn't deal with society, who escapes from society. وَلَا يَصْبِرُ عَلَىٰ أَذَاهُمْ, and he's impatient, he's constantly whining, he's complaining all the time. It is ironical that people who worship the most complain the most. People who worship the most, a sign of the fruits of their worship is they find contentment in their relationship. That Allah provides for them tranquility, peace, and an open mind and a clear mind. But we have a situation today whereby, especially among our younger people, their religiosity translates into emocity. Oh, young people, the men especially, I'm sorry, right? The youngsters, they are so emotional that they can't even get a proper display pic right. It's always facing sideways. So it's half a shit. What's your problem? You can't even face the camera. You have so low self-esteem. You cannot face the camera and just smile at the camera. You have to look sideways so that you look emotional. So that one Muslimah by chance who can just ask you how you are. And then you say Allah has tested you. Alright? This is our weakness today. The young people, mashallah. I know they are into religiosity because I see every time their display pics are always changing. Allah says, Prophet says, Ya muqallibal qulub wal absar. Oh, who changes hearts, but your display pics are changing. It's always you in it's either you in the tasbih, you're in your tasbih, you're doing your zikir, instead you are prostrating. Who's that smart person who spends time taking photos of you? Wherever you go, are you paying someone to take photos of you in all kinds of acts of worship? But this worship has not translated into proper constructive action for yourself. For yourself. If it was beneficial, you don't need to be needing attention in the first place. You won't even be on media social for most parts of your life. That's one. The other dichotomy is that people who are into service, people who are contributing to society, they do not actually base it on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's about me. I've done this. I've achieved this. I've done this. No, I've done this one project. And I'm going to show that. I'm going to show in such a way that I've done 100 projects. I'm going to self-brag. I'm going to self-praise. There's that. So this is a dichotomy. There's this disconnect between those people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they don't see a greater purpose to their worship, and those people who have done great things, but they don't see that all things come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which is why Prophet Sulaiman, when he's asked about his kingdom, he inherited the kingdom from his father, Prophet Daud, Nabi Daud alayhi salatu wassalam. And then he was asked about this greatness that he has. He can comprehend language, he can understand language, he can command the wind, he can speak to animals, all these powers that people today are not amazed with because they have the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and everything else and everything, but they don't read about Prophet Sulaiman. Nabi Sulaiman says, Hada min fadli Rabbi. This is from the bounties of my Creator, from the goodness my Creator has given unto me. Liyabluwani ashkuru am akfur, to test me whether I am thankful or I am otherwise. Waman shakara fa innama yashkuru nafsi. Whomsoever is thankful, now that thankfulness will be for his own benefit. Waman kafara fa inna rabbi ghaniyyun kareem. Whomsoever turns from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let it be known that Allah, He is ghani, He is kareem. He is charitable, He is rich, He doesn't need our obedience. It is for our own good. Doing good is for our own good. So this is what is mentioned by the Prophet Sulaiman. Now, so we know our purpose, but where do we put this in? We know our purpose that we have made for worship, for service. Now, where do we translate this into? Now, a simple manifestation will be this, as taught by my teacher Sheikh Ahmad Saleh Al-Azhari. He says 3 realms in which the Prophet ﷺ functioned in. And these are, of course, also I'm multi-realmed. This is 3, I have 300. Good for you. Alright, but generally we all have these 3 things that we function within. Alright, so let it be known. So we know the purpose for us to learn today, our learning objective is to make sure we go home with a clearer picture of our function and of course to function. Imam al-Ghazali says, Al-ilmu bila amal jununun. Whomsoever learn without practicing is crazy. He says that it's going to war with all knowledge about the weapons to use, but then you don't use the weapons at all. This is just metaphorical. In case you mistakenly say, oh, Ustaz is encouraging war, it's metaphorical. You say that you go to war, and then you're faced with enemies. You have all the knowledge at your behest before you, but you don't know how to do. You choose not to use them. It's crazy. It's madness. Okay. Now we exist in 3 realms. You okay down there? I'm not distracted. You sitting there and you okay? 3 realms in which the Prophet ﷺ function in. First is private. This is what we call what? Me time. That's foolishness. I don't know. I cannot give people's foolishness. Just being safe. Me time is your time for yourself. Me time. Alright? And then society from family. And he divides into these 3 realms. If you look at his schedule every day, it's always moving around these 3 realms. The beautiful part, I give you an example of how this works. Okay? Now, if you after this, right? After this, I'm assuming you all are going home. Are you going to continue self-study after this? It's still too early in the semester. Alright, we only study when the paper is the next day, correct? Okay? That's how we get our honors. Okay? Now, when we leave this room and then we travel home by train, for example, alright? Now, that time travel between this place and home is which one? Private time, society time, family time? Tidur. Yeah, tidur is what time? Well, this is what time? Huh? Some people, when I ask them, they think zikir. This is wara at the wrong place. Okay? Just now after prayers ask you to zikir, you play your headphone, check your update message. I'm behind Ustaz doing Maghrib. Alhamdulillah. May Allah reward me and Ustaz. Right? Now, okay, I ask again, you university students who are supposed to be the cream of the crop, alright, and the cherry on the top of the ice cream. Now, I'm asking you, from your traveling time between here to home is what time? Private time, correct? Anyone here says it's society's time? No, it's private time. It's your own time. You can do whatever you want with it. And wallahi, we are not doing good. We are not using it to our best, to the best. We are not doing it in the best way. Really. This is what I want to point out. Our society today, we don't maximize our private time. That traveling time from this disturbing place all the way to home. Imagine if you are traveling here from Pasir. Some people are from the east side. MashaAllah, east side people. You, team apa tu? GCM tu? Team 7. Okay, now, how long does it take from here to east side? Less than 2 hours. It's okay, less than 1.5 hours and above. 1.5 hours. You know, in 1.5 hours, if you recite the Quran, you read the Quran, right? Ustaz Arif can correct me. If you read the Quran, you can get at least 2 juzu. 2 juzu, can? Yes. I mean, those who read at 60 kilometers per hour. Iqra 3. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alright, so you get 2 juzu of the Quran. You can get half a book covered. If you're fast, you can get 1 book covered in 1.5 hours. But what are we doing? We are watching series after series of people who murmur through their lines and you think they're good actors. These are our Korean friends. They don't have makhrajul huruf. The Koreans, they have this way. You're playing, and Allah says, innamal hayatu dunya la'ibun wa you're playing the gold bar challenge, right? The gold bars, that cat, that stupid cat that got chased after gold bars and he gets knocked out by a train, chasing Candy Crush and all these things. This is manifestation of Allah says in the Quran, Muhammad, innamal hayatu dunya la'ibun wa lahun. That this is all play, and lahun, it is deception. Because you get the gold bars, are you richer now? So for instead, I've gone beyond the expressway, I'm not in the skies. I've got so many gold bars. Do those gold bars exist in your real life? No, it's deception. It's not true. The true thing that you get is what you seek for the purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those Quranic pages, those knowledge that you seek, but you're not using it. And this is one community that doesn't read on the trains. I'm a train person. I take a train every day for the last 10 years of my life. Alright, most of the time. Alright, I travel from my workplace to ACJC. It takes me 45 to 1 hour. Alright, and I say we don't read. I'm not even asking you. I'm not just one bad book, just one bad book. No one is even a bad book. This is how bad the community is. When you tell people, when you talk to your friends from other faith, you can say, MashaAllah, I'm from the religion, the only religion that the first verse is Iqra. The first verse is to read. And your Christian friend will look at you and say, you don't read. I'm more Muslim than you are, because I read more than you. You don't read. Even in university, you don't read. You only read it selectively. And if you don't read, you won't write. You only write because of participation points. Come on, let's get this honestly out. It's participation points. If you don't commit to the discussion forum, you will have 25% of marks deducted. Oh. Right? And it's not just comments, it's just questions of another question. What do you think of this? Alright, this is what our problem is. So this is private time, okay? So, private time, I haven't even gotten to it. Okay? Now, private time, once you reach home, you say Assalamu alaikum. And then your mother opens the door. Alright? Your father opens the door and you step into the house. That time is family time. You're safe. What's the reality now? And the Prophet ﷺ, alright, the Prophet ﷺ, he never takes anything away. He never takes anything away from his family. He never takes anything away from his family time, from society's time, for his own time. Do we? Of course we do. Look at our state of dinner, even our dining table nowadays. 1:4. Alright? It's like everyone's having an online forum now. Father, mother, oh, they are watching. Last time it wasn't so bad. Last time it was bad, but it wasn't so bad. Last time it was a big television. Everyone's sitting on the TV and just they have a conversation and there's still one focus point. No, so everyone's having their own. There's no conversation. It is sunnah to talk and converse during meals. Not if you're mouth full, but it's sunnah to converse. We don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore. Because we have taken time away from our family time, in our own private time. And this is our society. We are selfish. Which is why today we look at the verse, the Quranic hadith, the hadith, La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi. It means so much that you are not a perfect faith until you desire for your brothers what you desire for yourself, and what you desire attention. Because we live in a society where all attention is on you. You want attention to yourself. You want people to pay attention to you. Which is why verses like wa yu'thiruna ala anfusihim walau kana bihi khassasa. That the companions, they sacrifice. The people of Ansar, they sacrifice for their friends from Mecca, the Muhajirins, they make sacrifice for them, even though they are in need themselves. This shows concern, which we're going to talk about later. So, we must now start, if we haven't, start dividing ourselves into these times. And know that each realm has its own function. But the Prophet takes away a lot of his private time for his family and society. He takes away the 3 stages of faith for a good Muslim. Is first, you sacrifice for others, which I've said in the verse just now. You are in need yourself, but you see that someone has a greater need than you, so you give up what you need for them to fulfill their need. This is selflessness. This is translated to action. Which is why, when you give things to people, you give your best things, not the things you don't want. So when Palu had an earthquake, and Sulawesi had an earthquake, we give stuff, we give clothes. Our Muslim society, we collect clothes. I will open all those boxes and see the kind of clothes that come out of it. Hey, they are doing, you have those clothes inside your storeroom, you don't want to use them, just give them. They need it. This is our attitude. How many of you here actually buy clothes for people who are affected by earthquakes? New, brand new clothes. If someone gives you recycled clothes, will you wear them? Out. No, you won't. What more if it's torn and stained? missing one sleeve and a button. That's what we give people. The Prophet ﷺ put that standard so high. And the second thing, the second level of faith is that the hadith I said, La yuminu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsihi. That even though you don't have the action, you have the concern. That someone, that you care for someone with the kind of care you expect for yourself. At the most minimal, as a believer, alright, al-Muslim man salima al-Muslimun min lisanihi wa yadihi. That you become someone whom people are not hurt by your words and actions. That's the most minimal you can be as a Muslim, as a believer. But which one are we at? We haven't even started. We haven't even started. So this is the 3 realms you need to pay attention to and start filling them up. Even your private time, what do you fill them up with? All these realms will be questioned. ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُونَ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. Your time, what do you use them for? Your family is a blessing, which is why Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tulhikum amwalukum wa la awladukum an dhikrillah. Do not let your wealth and your family, your wife and children, your spouses, distract you from remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All this will be questioned. How have we used them? Or do we even know that we need to use the time? Are all our time private? No, it's not. Okay? So this was how the Prophet did it. And what do we fill them up? Okay, I know the 3 realms, I know my objectives, I've written them down, alright? I put them in a Venn diagram. Now I put them in 3 realms. What do I fill them with? What do I fill them with? This is how it is filled. Passion for knowledge. You don't learn knowledge for the sake of I have to learn because it's for I know. Because you must have a drive for learning knowledge. And the drive for learning knowledge translates into 2 things, main things. Knowledge translates into closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and knowledge translates into akhlaq with His creations. In fact, the passion for knowledge, its manifestation will manifest itself in the fulfillment of our 2 objectives. This is mentioned in the hadith by Prophet ﷺ, Man izdada ilma, lam yazdad huda, lam yazdad minallah illa bu'da. Whomsoever has an increment in his knowledge that he has gained, lam yazdad huda, but does not increase in guidance, lam yazdad minallah illa bu'da. He does not increase in anything but distance for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that mean? You learn so much, you brag about so much knowledge that you have, but you do not become a better worshipper. You still don't get khusyuk. You still pray at the end of times. You pray Zuhur at 3:50 p.m. You pray Asar at 6:59 p.m. Then you have not, the knowledge has not manifested into true action. And then you are not, the more knowledge you get, the more you don't interact with people well, the more arrogant you become, the more condescending you become. So that passion has not been translated. It's not passion. So you're just learning for the sake of learning. Make sure that you have passion, that you have drive in all forms of knowledge. Knowledge here, you must have passion for it. You're not going to be the kind of student that walks into lecture 15 minutes after you started, or you come in after the 15-minute break and pretend and just blend in. Jump. Right? Or you are the person who are calculative, 75% attendance. So you have decided which one you're going to miss already. Which one? What's your purpose of seeking knowledge here? Why are you here? That's the question. Imam Shafi'i says, the fruits of knowledge takes a long time. Tul is zaman. Tul is zaman means what? It takes a long time. And it comes at the end of a long list of criteria he has set. Zaka'in wa hirusin wa ijtihadin. You must have intelligence. You must have the determination. You must have the willpower to learn, to seek. This all translates into patience. Are we the kind of person when our lecturer speaks, we listen because we want to find out, we want to unearth the knowledge that we have not learned about? Are we that kind of person? Or are we just going through the motion in learning? Are we empowered like the companions were when the Prophet speaks to them, immediately they want to get into action? They do not wait for their peers. They don't look around. Which is why the companions, when Prophet points to them to go on a mission, they always go alone. Sayyidina Mus'ab bin Umair, when he was sent to Madinah to Munawwarah, he was only, alright, historians differ, he was in his late teens, early 20s, between 16 to 20 years old. At 16 to 20 years old, he was sent to Madinah. Of course, the Prophet sent him someone to, because he's a young chap going to a hostile environment to spread Islam. The Prophet sent someone with him. Who is he? Abdullah bin Umi Abi Maktum. Blind. So you are one chap going there for the first time into this context. You have a blind man to accompany you. This is the first thing you put on Facebook. Dah lah, kena pergi, atau orang buta pun. Go pray. But he didn't. And almost single-handedly converted most of Madinah. Changed them. What went into him? What did the Prophet teach these people? At 16, at 20. Sayyidina Anas bin Malik, when Prophet moved into Madinah, he was only 10. When the Prophet passed on, he was 20. Mus'ab bin Umar, when he went into Madinah to Munawwarah, he was confronted, right, by a man called Usaid bin Khudair. He was not yet a companion then. Imagine I'm talking here, and then someone comes to me, and then Ustaz bin Khudair took a spear and plunged it into the ground and says, "What are you doing here? Why are you talking to these people?" That kind of hostility. He was faced with such hostility. At 16 or 20, what will have we reacted with? Of course, we will take a selfie of the situation, or we will have stood up and be confrontational. But Mus'ab bin Umar reacted by saying that, "Why don't you sit and listen, sir? If you like it, you can be a Muslim. If you don't like, I won't do things that you don't like anymore." What kind of knowledge was that was taught to these people, that they can react with such level-headedness, with such maturity at that point of time? So this is for us to unearth, to learn, to seek. Read more about the Prophet. Spend your time now on the trains reading about the Prophet. I see the thick book by Dr. Adil Salahi outside that is being put. Is it for sale or for decoration? Or is it for to hold the paper down? It's for sale. Get that book and read it. That can last you the whole train ride, to and fro. You get that book. Nama dah salah. Adil Salahi. You get that book and read it. Any book about the Prophet, methodologies, teaching methodology, everything that is related to the Prophet, you read it. And you find that there's always no end to it. The second thing is empowering spirituality. We are created for worship. But what is the worship? Allah says in the Quran, the verse again, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Liya'budun comes from, what's the core word for it? Abd. Servitude. The more you worship, the more humble you become. You don't worship, you become more arrogant. With worship comes two things. You become more humble, you become more empowered, you become more driven, you become more energetic, you become more vibrant. We live in a society where the young people today, they are looking for things easy. They just want it easy. I want to find a job, or I want to find work which is easy. I want to find a course that is easy. What do you mean by easy? A lot of time. To do what? So there's a difference between people who ask for things to be easy and people who ask for things to be made easy for them. It's different. Rabbi Yasir wala tu'assir. Oh my Creator, make it easy for me. Do not burden me. La yukallifu nafsan illa wus'aha. Do not burden me with something that I cannot bear. There's a difference from trying to seek ease in everything, then you willing to take on challenges and hope that Allah makes it easy for you to go through these challenges. It's a totally different thing. Which one are we? That's why we are whining all the time. 5 minutes train breakdown, we complain. Traffic jam, we complain. Lecturer comes late, we complain. Why does he come late? Why do you just not come at all? Alright? We complain about everything under the sun, but we are not doing anything. Why? Because we don't have spirituality. To start off with, the Prophet started his day with a zeal. He starts his day on a high note. We start our day dragging ourselves out of bed. You know, Allah's giving us a head start every time. He gives us a head start with Fajr, with Subuh. He gives us a head start with Qiyamul Layl. He gives us a head start with praying 5 times a day, so that we get connected all the time with Him, so that He can empower us, because we are weak. وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. He gives us a lot of power. We're not taking that power. How do we start our Subuh today? What time do we do Subuh? We're asking the same questions. What time do you do Subuh? You are harmlessly going to answer, 7:35 Ustaz. for the last 10 years of my life, 7:35, and the earth has not swallowed me yet. The earth hasn't swallowed you because it's busy cursing you for not waking up for subuh. Not just the earth, but the skies and the heavens for not doing so. The most, if you look at the Prophet's awrat, means his recitation of his litanies, his recitation of dua, zikr, the most part is reserved for what? For the night and also for the day, for the mornings, for dawn. After dawn, look at his zikr that he recites. And the Prophet, he doesn't go to bed, he doesn't sleep in the day until about half an hour before Zuhur or half an hour after that, depending on the weather. But look at us, we are sleeping most of the time. When I say that Imam Shafi'i spends, you say, oh, Ustaz, these people have a lot of time. They're not against Singapore. Context in Singapore is that we have school, we have studies. But look at, if I give you free time, how would you feel it? Your Saturdays and Sundays are testimony to what you are. So we are not vibrant. Our spirituality has not helped us because we don't have spirituality to start off with in the first place. We haven't recited the Quran. I'm not going to talk about memorization. We haven't recited zikr because we start to say, and it doesn't help people say that life is not about Quran, recitation, zikr all the time. You can do this another time. No, this is something you have to feed yourself with so that it empowers you. Okay? And then the third part is social awareness and activism. There's a correlation between this. Most of us have no problems with this one. The green one, we have no problems with that. We are aware and we are active. But you notice that we have a bigger problem with that. We don't have sustainability. We are so with one-off projects. Ramadan, flag off. Where are those flags now? And the bikes? Where's the food? Once a year, people are not hungry once a year, bro. People are hungry every day. Where are those projects? You are one-off ummah. There's no consistency. There's a reason why the Prophet recited this dua, Allahumma jamilna bil afiyati wa salama wa hakikna bil taqwa wa istiqamah. He links taqwa, piety to istiqamah. You can have taqwa, but it can be one-off. What's the point? We need istiqamah. That istiqamah cannot come. That persistence, that perseverance, istiqamah, that consistency, that persistence cannot come if you don't have the knowledge. You don't know what's the rewards. You don't know what's the good thing that goes with that act of da'wah, and if you don't have spirituality to go with it. So it's intertwined. Even to be aware, to be active needs knowledge. To serve, you need spirituality. In that verse that was recited by our colleague just now, I must admit that in all my years giving talks at university, this is one of the better ones. MashaAllah. This is one of the better ones. Where's the Qari? Oh, okay. Oh, dah boleh baca kat songkok. Habis baca, ada cover. Baik. Oh, because just now was society time, now it's me time. Muhammadur Rasulullah walladzina ma'ahu asyrul ruhama bainahum tarahum ruk'an sujadan. Look at that verse. That verse encompasses all the things I've said about today. Tarahum ruk'an sujadan. They are people who are empowering spiritually. Why you know they are empowered spiritually? Yabtaghuna fadlan minallahi wa ridwana. That they seek Allah's bounties and His blessings. Simahum fi wujuhihim min athari sujud. You see from them, their faces, they are illuminated by the acts of worship. Right? Yu'jibu zurra liyaghiza bihimul kuffar. It amazes, it bewiles. Everyone looks at them. Because that act of spirituality translates into action. Our action today are void of spirituality. The people doing it. That's why I see some young people, they are doing da'wah, they are doing active work, volunteer work. What time when they do for their meetings, for their activities, they put their prayer times late. So sometimes when I look at some volunteers, they do work. It starts at 2 p.m. and then it ends at 5 p.m. It ends at 8 p.m. But they do their asar at about 6:45, 6:50. This is wrong. Means you have foregone your spirituality for activism. It cannot work like that. The Prophet was asked, when he was asked by Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Ayyu amal yahubu Allah Ta'ala? Which amal is most beloved by Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala? The first thing he said was, as-salatu ala waqtiha. Allah loves prayers on time, in the earliest of times. Second thing, thumma ayy. After that, birrul walidaini. Obedience to your parents. Thumma ayy. Al-jihadu fi sabilillah. To struggle. Right? To struggle on his path. The struggle comes after you have gotten a spirituality. So it's not about compromising that I decide which one. No, they all coexist together. So make sure that all your realms, that your private realm, your family realm, and society realm are filled with these three entities. Alright? So this we need to be mindful of. Our houses, our organizations must have these three features. Our houses, do our houses have knowledge? The Prophet ﷺ, he shares knowledge with family members. Juwairiyah was reciting zikr when the Prophet left his home. 10 minutes left. When was it? 10 minutes ago. Oh, sorry. I was in a trance. Okay? I have better things to do than use it in here. Okay, continue. So, Juwairiyah was reciting zikr. He left for Fajr, came back. And then he says, you are still doing zikr. I will teach you a zikr that is better than what you have recited just now. Then all have recited. Alright? Subhanallah, subhanallah bihamdi, adada khalqi, wa rida nafsi, wa zinata arshim, and the kalimat. Example. These 5 verses is bigger in reward than that. He didn't undermine her, a woman. We still reciting. No. Then belittle her, says that you are doing good, but I have something better for you. This is knowledge. There's compassion. There's sharing. There's knowledge in your household. Do we have knowledge in our household? Is there knowledge in our organizations? And henceforth. Okay? Now, some current challenges, I've mentioned this along the way. Dichotomization of purpose. Those who worship are just worshipping. And then those who are serving don't realize that they have to live for Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala. There's a lack of resilience because you don't have spirituality. So you are weakened. And social media gives you an escape route, which is not good. Except turning to Allah, you turn to social media. Distracted, a lack of focus because of all these distractions that you have. And then serving others to serve self. What happens is that now we have this idea where we serve others, but it is more of promoting yourself using others. I have a friend, a missionary friend. So we exchange ideas. Her name is Jemima. Alright, she's a Christian missionary. So I had a conversation with her before. Astaghfirullahaladzim, Ustaz. You have a conversation with them to share, for me to be embarrassed, for me to feel humiliated. So I had a conversation with her. She, upon completing her university, she moved over to Chad. Chad is in the African region. She went to Chad. And what she's doing there now, she is rehabilitating child soldiers. Those soldiers got the civil war there, she rehabilitates them with the word of Christ. Okay, so we do that. She's doing that. And she says, one thing she told me that I don't have social media. Because I was trying to pull out social media to look at her. And she says, I don't have social media. Because I don't like to use the people I'm helping as a stepping stone for my own good. I don't tell people, I don't show them, because I'm doing it for God. MashaAllah. She shared this with me. And there with our one day of project, we pack some packets of rice and biscuits. We line them up, 100 packets of them. We take a photo with us. Doing good. And then we compromise our clients. We go to their house, we take a photo of them. And society knows now who they are. That they are needy. And put them on media. They are children who goes to school and friends, hey, you received goods that day. You don't know how to impact on their self-esteem. Have you ever thought of that? No, we don't. So who are we helping out? Them or ourselves? We look happier than them. We look happier than them. This is the thing that we need to bear. It's painful. It's painful, but it's true. And one-offs. That's what I was saying. So to have a proper chart, that's why I like that picture of that faces that first, second, third, and fourth. It's in ascending order, of course. Alright, start with me first. Let's start the low end, the amateur league first. Then you go to Champions League. Always goes that way. 4 phases. Okay, so revisiting our focus verse just now. This is the verse. There has really been for you in the message of Allah an excellent pattern for anyone whose hope is in Allah and last day and who remembers Allah often. So conclusion, there is a pertinent need to understand our purpose of existence. Keep asking yourself. That's why Imam Ghazali says that 4 things need to be done in the morning. 4 things need to be done in the morning before you start everything else. After your super prayers, you need to do zikr, you need to do recitation of the Quran, recite the Quran. You need to do zikrullah, remember Allah Ta'ala. You need to do dua, to pray. There's so many things you have to pray for the good of yourself, for your parents, for the world. Pray, raise your hands. Put the phone away. 2 hands are for them to be put together, not for one to be raised and the other one to pray. Okay? I cannot stand cameras at gatherings where zikr gatherings. No, you zikr, then you have gathering. Then you do zikr, you cry, you break down. Then you cameraman, the more you cry, they will focus your face on the big screen. Your son sees, Umi, look, Baba looking very ugly there. And your wife doesn't have to look because she knows, I know that. Too bad. Right? So there's a pertinent need to appreciate the prophetic realms and the features of the prophetic society. Start by reading. Read up books about the Prophet ﷺ. Go to bookshops, read about the Prophet. In any realm, as a leader, to the family, to society, attend talks about the Prophet ﷺ. And then that becomes a start for you to practice, emulate, mimic. And then there's a pertinent need to be sincere, focused, consistent and forward-thinking when pursuing the 3 features within the respective fields. So I think that's the end of my 45 minutes. Wallahu a'lam bis-shawab. Is it now okay? It's okay for you.
Thank you very much, Ustaz. Just before we move on to the Q&A segment, I would just like to summarize on some of the key points that Ustaz shared earlier. The first thing that he shared was the 3 main points about the 3 realms in which Nabi Muhammad SAW operated in, which is family, private, and society. And Ustaz advised us that for us to maximize our private time for the worship of Allah and selflessness to sacrifice our alone time for family and society. The second realm was family, which is to actually remember to not be so caught up with our own social media and our own personal time, even though in the presence of our family members. And also last one, which is society. And Ustaz also shared earlier about the 3 features of a prophetic society, which is firstly being the passion for knowledge. So this is in regards to when we have gained new knowledge, it's always better to always improve ourselves. And secondly, which is empowering spirituality. With worship, Ustaz shared that we should always be more vibrant, more humble, and more giving. So, and lastly, the third point, which is social awareness and activism, which is to always link taqwa to istiqamah and never forgo our spirituality for activism. So that was some of the words of wisdom that Ustaz shared earlier. Alhamdulillah. So now we'll move on to our Q&A segment. Just a reminder that once you've reached the link, please key in the event code and ask any questions that you have. The first one being, so this is a question from one of the audience. He mentioned, what advice can you give for us to start on the journey to emulate the Prophet, especially if we are just starting out?
Okay, for starters, that's what I said for the last 45 minutes, right? How did I start there? Who was this person? He's a brother. He has to be a brother. He has to be a brother. I told you. He's a brother. He's a brother. The sisters all this kind of question, they will be more elevated in the thinking. MashaAllah. It's a brother. I think I can even pinpoint the brother, but it's okay. You start by reading. You start by reading Iqra, right? So you start read with the intention to emulate. And then secondly, if you haven't started, to start doing simple acts of worship. I mean, in addition to what you have to do as an obligation, do simple acts of reading Quran. Do not start with one juzuk per day. You're going to die. In the sense that you're going to get overwhelmed. Just one page per day for a start. One page. One page a day. Then read one hadith a day. Attend one class a week. Alright, attend one class. Ask your ustaz, which class? Of course, the ustaz say, my class. Alright. Datang kelas saya je lah, susah. Kan? So that. And then do simple acts. It's the simple acts of worship that we need to work on. MashaAllah, we always think of big things. When the Prophet came into Madinah, which is the great event, a grand event, the first thing he said was, Ayuhan Nas. When he entered into Madinah Munawwarah, which was a highly significant event, he told us of 4 simple things to do. And this can be the 4 things that you do, brother. First, Afshus Salam. You spread salam. Salam, it can mean 2 things. One is giving salam, Assalamu alaikum. Even that we struggle to do. We have this action called, suddenly I saw an ant on the floor move. Walk, he's walking, looking at you, and then when he comes near, within distance, there's an ant on the floor. And then after that, it doesn't exist anymore. We cannot even look at our brothers in the eye and say, Assalamualaikum. That's our problem. Women at the market are more hostile. Look at, in the bus, I follow my mother to the market. You can feel the tension in the bus. When you're going, they're going to the same marketplace, and all of them are there, because they're all carrying baskets. All are rivals. But they're being zikr already. Right? Allahumma sul ikhwan. Anyway, so continue. Now, that's one. Afshu salam wa at'imu ta'am, and give food. People ask Ustaz, all these Muslim society, Ustaz, what project should we do? Give food. No one rejects food. Just do give food project. I'm going to raise it to intellectual level. If you're intellectual, you do simple things. If you think intellectual, you do high-falutin things. Bring down the rain from the sky. No. Just feed them food. Give food. It's the simplest thing to do. And the Prophet tells, and who is the Prophet addressing to? People of Madinah and Makkah, these are not simpletons, you know. These are intellectual people, highly intellectual people. You have in that list Abdullah bin Umar, Abdullah bin Abbas, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, the 3 Abdullahs, and Abdullah bin Amr al-As. All these are intellectual people, they are smart people. And the Prophet is telling them simple things. Why? Because he thinks that they cannot match up to it's not intellectual. No. Because that's the most intellectual thing to do simple things that reaches out to everyone. Give food. Start to give food every day. Treat. Feed your neighbors. If it's a Muslim neighbor, it is silaturahim. If it is a non-Muslim neighbor, it is da'wah. What's so difficult? As long as you can cook well. If by the second time you knock the door, they don't open, you know. It's okay. If you reject it profusely, it means you know. Yeah, no, chili prawn, and it's green. It's okay. Don't make them say MashaAllah. MashaAllah is okay. If you're non-Muslim neighbor saying MashaAllah is okay, then it's bad. Alright, now, third, wasilul arham. Enjoying ties of kinship. Make no enemies with fellow Muslims. With nobody at all. You can have a healthy rivalry. Alright, but then you make enemies for nothing. Sometimes it's just about what the person wears. Wow, she's wearing yellow tudung now. Let her wear. Alright? And the one who's doing it is a guy. Okay? Now, fourth, وَقُومُ فِي اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّاسُ نِيَامٌ, and to wake up at night when everyone is asleep to do Qiyamul Layl. How many rak'ahs minimum for Qiyamul Layl? 2. But if you're doing 2, don't post on Facebook. MashaAllah, I did Qiyamul Layl last night, MashaAllah. I woke up in the middle of the night to do praise. But you never say how many rak'ahs. I did 2. Inna A'tayna and Al-Ikhlas. That part you didn't tell people. Okay, so these 4 things. So it's all simple things. Okay? Can I have a sisterly question, please?
Maybe this one will be.
Why?
Maybe the next one will be quite sisterly if you want. The question next, which has the highest vote, it says, would you agree that social media can be used for good to show that by doing good, we can inspire others to do good? If you could elaborate more on that.
Okay. Social media can be good if you do good. I think this is a question that's a slight at me also. You think about people, you need to judge people. I'm not judging. Alright? I know there are some initiatives. My friend Zahid, he did this initiative, do good and then show it and everything else. The point is that you have to be sincere about what you're doing. And I can't judge sincerity. Sincerity is within the heart. So what I'm telling you is, you know why I'm saying this? You know why I'm saying this? Because I follow people's projects. I have so much concern for your projects that I follow. So if you are doing this project about feeding the needy, I will follow and say, Ustaz, you stop. Yes, I stop. Alright? You have nothing to do, this is what I do with zikr. Now, the thing is that when I do it, I want to see what you do next. What's next? My question is, what's next? So you can say that, okay, I'm doing good so that I encourage people to do good. But does it continue? The point is not that moment where you show it, but what happens after that. In Islam, it is not about the action per se. You're not gauged by the action per se, but what comes out of the action. Ustaz, evidence, dalil is the dalil ummah. Can you have a dalil for the Ustaz? What's the evidence for that? In the Quran, Allah says, Inna salata tanha anil fahsya wal munkar. Salat stops you from doing fahsya munkar, any misdeeds, things which are unpleasant and henceforth. That's salat. Does anyone do misdeeds or unpleasant things in salat? When you do salat, when I pray just now, does anyone smoke when I was doing salat? Allahu Akbar. No. Does anyone steal in salat? No. But what is the gauge of your salat? Outside of your salat is the gauge. You want to gauge my project? It's not my project. It's what I do after that project. Don't gauge. You want to go for Hajj? Everyone does go in Hajj. Most people, everyone go to the Kaaba, right? You go to the Kaaba, oh my God, all the faces. You go to the Kaaba, yeah. But you don't get them because everyone cries before the Kaaba. Either because out of pure piety or someone steps on your feet. But the gauge of that is not there. It's when the Kaaba is no more there. When the Kaaba is now put inside your heart. Is it in your heart anymore? So that one of good thing you put, well, good, it inspires. But have you checked if it really inspires people over there? Have you followed on that? Those good initiatives you show, have you followed up on your own initiative and those initiatives of others that were shown? Have we followed up? Are we really real about this? Or is it just escapism? I just want to show and after that I feel good about it. What are you feeling good for? What are you feeling good for? Well, it's important to follow up. I'm very particular follow up. So there was one I won't say which organization, one young chap, he wanted to say, Ustaz, I want to invite you for a talk. As my tradition, I will always invite them over to have a conversation because you want to invite me. I don't like to you want to have a talk, okay, what's the topic? Okay, I give a topic. I give a topic and I give a talk. I come, haha, take a photo and I give. No, I will invite you on to know what you're doing. So he invited me, he says, Ustaz, I want you to give a talk on this topic. And I said, this topic I've given before in another university. Yeah, but what about our university? I said, you're not living in the United States where I'm in one part of the United States and the part is difficult for people because in Singapore. And then why do you want to give this talk? Because I heard you give this before and so I was encouraged, so I felt that maybe you should give it again. So I started to unearth, this person has no plan beyond that talk. This organization has no plan beyond that talk. So I held that boy ransom. So I spent when he was coming, he was carrying bananas for me. No, he thinking I'm a monkey. We keep on the meeting, I start something for you and your family. And after he sat with me, he was thinking it's going to be a short one, like any like meeting, like, okay, what's the topic? No, it was the next miserable 2 hours of his life. I said, I want you to do a roadmap for what your organization plans to do, and I want to see you with that roadmap next time I see you. I want to follow up with that. I want to see what you do after that. He's got reggae hair, and he just went flat. He was like, no woman, no crying. He was like, because you have to take even this organization, I had lunch with, I had bread. I want to see what you're doing with these things. This cannot be something you just fill your CV with. Oh, I was in Sika's garden. We created a garden and fruits, and we plucked it once a year. And that's it. A garden is supposed to be a garden. It's named a garden for a reason. Alright? So there must be that. So I'm not questioning your sincerity. I'm just probing at you to follow up, to be genuine. If you are already genuine, alhamdulillah. So I'm genuine. I ikhlas gila. Dah ikhlas gila betul. Good. Okay, sebab orang gila masuk syurga kan. Yes, right. All right.
Okay.
15, right? 15 kan?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's see.
Okay, so maybe one last question that Ustaz you can answer. So the last question, it reads, I don't skip prayers and been doing whatever I can to be a better Muslim. However, I still have evil thoughts and sins. I don't have tranquility and peace. So this person is asking for help lah. Yeah.
Actually, I had the same problem with this person. Do not ever believe that Allah says in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ حَتَّى نَعْلَمَ مُجَاهِدِينَ مِنْكُمْ, that we will surely test you until we know who are the people who really struggle from amongst you. That we are all, the fact that you have a concern about the state of your worship, that despite you worshiping there's no tranquility, that's a good start. It's different from purposely praying with no tranquility. But this one I've tried and I feel that that's a good start. Means you are concerned, you care. Now what can I do? How can you go on from here? First, please don't give up. We live in a society. Sometimes if I ask this person, how long have you been doing it? It's for the last 2 weeks. The Prophet ﷺ, he took 23 years. It was 23 years for him to actually convert, and not all the people of, and not all in his lifetime, to get the message of Islam across to people. Not to convert everyone, but to get across people. Did he die with everyone accepting it? No. So it takes a long time to achieve goodness. If the blessings of Allah SWT get early, it's good. But most often, Allah wants to test you. So keep doing it. Secondly, muhasabah. So do the muhasabah. What's the fourth thing, muhasabah? Sorry, I didn't say it. First was Quran, zikr, dua. The last is muhasabah. Self-criticism. Sorry, I didn't add that just now. Self-criticism. What's self-criticism? You look at yourself in all honesty. I cannot answer because I don't know who you are, but you know yourself. Ask yourself the most difficult questions. How have I been as a person, as a slave, as a servant of Allah, as a son or a daughter, as a sister, as a student, as someone who's working with me? How have I been? It's not a checklist, yeah. It is genuine questions to see where you can improve. It's not like, oh, okay, actually quite okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, what? Then you don't need muhasabah. Then one muhasabah will do for you. Itu tak munasabah. Alright, so you have to do muhasabah. You have to cry. Muhasabah is supposed to make you cry, because you ask yourself different questions that you have not achieved. Thirdly, sometimes you're restricting it to only things that you do, but not the things you do for others. So I noticed the questions I was talking about all the things you do as acts of worship. Now extend it to other things. Sometimes we achieve goodness not because of our worship, but other people's worship. Other people's dua for us. Other people's dua for us. When you do good for other people, alright, when you do good for other people, when I do projects with my students together, I always believe that it's their dua that make our projects successful. It's their dua. Alright, it's their dua. Sometimes we don't have khusyuk. Sometimes we don't have khusyuk. Ask them for dua. Who is them? The people you help. Extend help to people. Inna rahmatallahi qaribu minal muhsinin. The rahmat of Allah shall be showered unto those who do good. The more good you do, and between good for yourself and good for others is always better than good for yourself. You do good for other people, you'll be showered with goodness. That will be the key to getting an elevated stature of worship. Get prayers from your parents. Be honest with your parents. You don't talk to your parents only because you met someone, a new guy, and you're excited. Oh, man, he's so cute. He's so cute and he reads the Quran. as though only cute people read the Quran. Alright? So you don't talk about this, Mom, I want to get married. Though I'm in my second year university, but I want to get married quick. Alright? No. You talk to your mom, Umi, I'm having difficulties getting khusyu in my ibadah. You make dua. Your mother's dua is unparalleled. There's no barrier to your mom's dua. You have 2 living saints in your house now, your parents. When scholars come to Abu, I see people flocking to scholars, chasing them, elbowing people to kiss the ulama's hand. No, I mean not the elbowing part, but to kiss the ulama's hand. Why? You treat the same with your parents or not? Do you chase your parents to kiss their hands? You ask for their dua. Up till now, every day that I have class, that I have to give a talk, I will update my mother. Not that she's a dragon mom or tiger mom or lion mom, whatever mom that she is, but that's not the reason. That's not the reason. The reason is because I need a barakah for dua. I need her blessings. And it makes her happy to know that her son is out there doing something right. I'm not smoking shisha. Alright, so mashallah, she makes dua for me. Every time. If I have a talk, I will say I have a talk today. And I always say that, Ma, I have a thought, make dua for me. No, but I will tell her and update her and everything else, and then she'll make dua. These are things you don't notice. Get your parents to make dua for you. Okay? So that. If we have 5 more minutes, one more question number.
Okay, the next question would be, this question reads, how do we overcome distractions and increase our focus so that we can increase our spirituality to increase our resilience? Banyak increase.
One of the smart, okay, from my experience, I'm going to ask you for my experience, but then you will get it learning from take it from me. Alright? One of the things that was one of the best things I ever did, one of the best advice I ever did was to listen to my wife's advice. Yes, I do listen to her advice. Because one of the things I did was to know this source of distraction. Where you must first identify where the distractions come from. Where does it come from? Usually, for me, social media. Last time I had a Facebook account. And my wife notices this. Alright, she notices Facebook more than myself. She notices that every time I go on every time I look at Facebook, I get very worked up. I get very emotional, I get distracted. Even when I give lectures, my lecture will be just pointing towards that. It will be a platform for me to ventilate. She says, it's not good for me. She says, it's not good for me. So she says, switch off get out of Facebook. Remove your Facebook account. And that's what I did. We agreed, she removed the Facebook, and I felt that I can do my da'wah easy. I felt that I don't have to be emotionally burdened. So that I identify that as a distraction. Secondly, alright, is for you to be in a company of people who can give you advice. You already be in a company of people who we think are understanding, because they understand that we are weak and everything, but then they don't give you advice. So what are friends for? What is a company for? Be, alright, kunu ma'as-sadiqin. Be with the righteous, so that they can advise you and correct you, and you feel empowered and you feel motivated. You are lazy, you don't read the Quran, then you are with the righteous people. And then you see them, mashallah, he's reading the Quran, mashallah, I haven't decided what to read. Then it's a reminder for you. When I say be with the righteous, doesn't mean that we discriminate against those who are not righteous. Because the one who's not righteous is ourselves only. Okay? We are good to everybody, but for those who are in our close circle, the Prophet ﷺ, he is good to everybody, he is kind to everybody, he is gracious to everybody. But who does he keep close companionship with? Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar. He has people whom he is close to. He's an example for us. We need to have our close band of brothers or sisters that we are not just to go shopping or play futsal together and stuff, but for us to actually reflect on our spirituality and our projects and our way forward. Brothers and sisters that can actually criticize, and we can accept criticism and they can accept ours as well. Do we have such friends? Or have we removed them because we feel they're so critical of us, man, they don't understand us? It is those people whom you think misunderstood you who actually care a lot for you. Then those who are always tagging along with you and become a baggage eventually. Right? So identify the source of two things. Identify the source of distraction, remove it. It's painful. Because we have been training, that is the place for us to get attention. But that's the same place that removes our attention. Remove it. And then just continue. Of course, you have the hangover of it. Right? The side effect of it. You have cold turkey. Every time you have phone. Right? And then change, if the phone is the one is the reason for it, change the phone. Nokia 3310. Play worm. Get longer. Better to get longer worm than longer time on Facebook. Okay?
Thank you very much, Ustaz, for your sharing. Inshallah, now we've come to the end of the Q&A session. Before we end, please allow me to mention some of our sponsors that without which Seekers Garden would have not been a success. So, the Seekers Garden Committee would like to thank the Singapore Islamic Scholars and Religious Teachers Association Pergas, Darussalam Mosque, Malabar Muslim Jamaah, and NTU Student Affairs Office for their generous financial sponsorships. We would also like to give thanks to Haja Maimunah. Yes, the dinner earlier was by Haja Maimunah. It was, alhamdulillah, it was very delicious. And also to Tukar Warisan and Arauda Honey Sticks for their contributions towards our door gifts earlier. And also our door gifts could not have been possible without the generous contribution for the prayer mats by a lovely couple. Special thanks goes out to Baya Khalisa, Warda Books and Centered Caravan, so for agreeing to collaborate with us. So if any of you would like to purchase any minyak atar or some books related to the talk related to Ustaz sharing earlier, some of the books that even Ustaz mentioned earlier, it can be found on the booth outside after the LT. Please look for our finance officer, Brother Shabil. He'll be manning the booth outside. So thank you all for our sponsors and collaborators, and may Allah reward them for their generous contributions, inshallah. Now I would like to call upon Brother Haziq to present a token of appreciation to